Buster, he sold the heat with a rock steady beat.
The exhibition, obviously, we've been privileged to have a little bit of a look ahead as to what's to come. But for people out there, the first thing that you come across in the exhibition is a journey of one man from the Caribbean to the UK.
Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. It's basically Rhoda Decker's dead father, who come over to Europe from Jamaica, served in the First World War, and then somehow ends up in Paris and Berlin in the 20s and 30s, and then comes to London in the sort of late 30s, 40s, sets up a club called the Caribbean Club. When I heard that story, I loved the journey that he started and she. So basically, you start with the dad and you end up with the daughter on the stage in the Body Snatchers. So that to me is the entire exhibition, just the family really. So we asked Rhoda to write a bit of family personal history, and she's done that. So that's the timeline at the start of it. So it's some photographs from a family album that shows all the various people involved. And then, that'll be the opening part as you enter the music library. You'll see that, and I think that then sets up where we go after that.
Yeah, so it's about origins and obviously the journey that was obviously taken by so many.
Yeah, it's important that that's obviously we focus on that as the starting point, and then it becomes another story after that.
Okay, cool.
So we also wanted to involve a gentleman called Tony Imbiel, who is a Jazz FM DJ, and his family story, because we wanted to find someone who had a really good understanding of the music, because then we could attach the journey of to Tito via certain key tracks. And they're not necessarily the famous tracks, they're not necessarily everyone's choice, but they're Tony's family choice. Okay. And it makes it an incredibly personal experience in that respect. So we're going to have those 20 or 25 tracks on the wall with a little bit about each one, why they're important, and then just following Tony, and just loosely following Tony's story, which is incredibly inspiring. His family, the trials and tribulations, which is a very light way of putting what happened to his family, and which you'll find out about when you go to there. But it's an incredibly moving story, but it's also a story of overcoming incredible obstacles that these people had to endure at that time, and things that I don't, as me, could never understand, but something that is always been there and always needs to be spoken about, I think, and the respect needs to be shown to that. And in this exhibition, we can do that. I think a tiny little bit. We can show that. We can show that story.
Okay. Talking about Tony and obviously Rhoda, and how their sort of lineage, their history, their family history, obviously led them to where they ended up in terms of their musical careers. You've obviously both got careers that are in some way influenced by Tito.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm from it sounds like getting the violins out, but I'm from a council estate in Peckham, and what was laid out in front of you was not the greatest job in the world, and you get to meet a girl, you marry early, and you settle down, you're done. Whereas for me, it was always, I wanted more than that, and I think the people like the two-tone, the specials, the two-tone guys, but also like the Jam and the bands that were around when I was growing up at that age, very influential, that age looking to do more, sort of provided a path to try something different. Maybe you haven't got necessarily the obvious things, and that's how I got inspired by it. But finding your way out of that and doing new things is quite tough. But if you keep going, and I found it, for me, it was clothes, music and football. Yeah. But it's what I call the Holy Trinity. It's basically one of those three things would have got me somewhere, or noticed, or writing about it, or speaking about it, or whatever it would have been. And that's what happened. I mean, purely organically, really. It wasn't a career choice. It was just living the life, but mainly that life through music, going to gigs and clubs and stuff, and meeting
friendship groups.
Yeah, meeting other people, and they said, "I've been going here, try this, we've seen this," and that word of mouth nod is so important. And I think it comes from that, you haven't got to settle for this. You haven't got to settle too much too young.
Yeah.
You haven't. It was all there. It was all laid out for you. When you read the lyrics or heard the lyrics, you thought, I know a lot of people going through that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. Most of the people I do. Well, I was a bit resistant to that, thinking, well, not yet.
Yeah, so we were saying the friendship groups of people that you'd hang around with,
Yeah.
the choices you'd make.
Yeah, I mean, my old mates, still mates now, obviously, I'm in my early 60s now, but they're still my mates.
Do you wear it well?
That's a fiver.
Cheers, mate.
There's a fiver. And, yeah, so, they're still my mates, but there was other groups of people that you would then meet at other places. I mean, I joined Ronnie Scott's when I was 23.
Yeah.
That's quite a big move from the Old Kent Road to Ronnie Scott's, because I got fed up with the fighting down the Old Kent Road, or the general mayhem. I got fed up with that, thinking, I've had years of this, I want to try something else. And to discover jazz at Ronnie Scott's, and that was a similar sort of move. You went to somewhere different and met a different group of people, and they would tell you about the Rag Club or another sort of clubs that were going on, and then you met other people, and that opened the world up. Really.
Okay.
But it's all inspired from that sort of first seeing these bands, thinking, look, they're giving you a message here.
Yeah.
You either listen to it, or you go against it, and I went with it.
Okay, obviously we've talked about Tony Minviel, and we've talked about Rhoda Dakar and how their sort of history and their family history is their sort of backstory. But what's your backstory when it comes to two-tone, and how has it affected your adult life?
It's just the messages within the music, really. When you first heard the lyrics and the general vibe, and basically have a great time, enjoy yourself. But there was also a serious message in there. If you wanted to listen to it, if you wanted to sort of invest in the lyrics, you could find out a pathway that's slightly different to what you was already on. You know, there's a way out of this, or maybe don't do the usual things everyone's doing. Maybe try something else, and that was what I was. Obviously, I was ready for that. I mean, I didn't overthinking it. I just went with it.
Yeah.
And then by going to certain gigs and clubs and other events, you met other like-minded people, and they would tip you off to other events and where this is going on. We're doing this. We've been here. We know this shop's great, and you just got a different life away from your norm. And then I try to take quite a lot of my mates with me, and they were quite resistant. They felt safe where they were.
Yeah.
Even coming to a place like Camden, I mean, it sounds mad now, but it going back 30, 40 years, they were like, nah, it's too far away, it's a mad place, what is it? They were safe with the life they had, like council estate, football, the local pub.
You didn't want to really broaden their horizons.
Nah, which is, listen, it's not for everybody, fair enough, but I went that way, and I carried on maintaining the friendships the best I could, but I was looking for other things, and I certainly found them, and all those things I found have invested into my what I do now, which is books and films. So it's all part of that background that sort of bled into that.
And David, you work in the creative industry as well, and how do you feel like your early sort of relationship with two-tone has affected your adult life?
Well, so I mean, I left school at 16. Started work, left school on the Friday, started working on the Monday as a hairdresser, because I looked at these guys in front of me and I'm thinking, well, how can I dress really well, meet girls, and do a job that matches all of those things together? So it seemed to me that hairdressing was perfect, and I did that for a long time, and it allowed me to dress how I wanted. It allowed me a creativity that a lot of jobs don't give you, but it also let me meet an awful lot of people who were in other creative industries. And wherever you go in the world, in most industries you'll meet hairdressers or ex-hairdressers. They're everywhere, because it's such a great way of learning how to deal with people. So, but I got to a point where that became, a little bit limiting.
Yeah.
But what it did allow me to do as well was to make a choice, which is kind of what Mark was saying earlier. A lot of my friends, so I didn't grow up in central London. I was born in Hounslow. We moved out, we moved to Basingstoke, moved to Newbury, so it's much more suburban. And in those places, there was a lot less integration.
Yeah.
So consequently, with less integration, you're going to get more racism. You're going to get more sort of anger towards new things. And seeing two-tone for the first time, understanding sort of modernism as I was seeing it laid out in front of me at sort of in 1978, 79, 80, it said to me, well, this is a much better path to go down. And so we made that choice, the same as Mark said, you made a choice, and that choice opened up a whole new world, and it was a world of colour, as in clothing colour, as in people, as in a different sort of music, different sorts of food, an understanding of architecture. All of these things suddenly become open to a kid who's kind of grown up in a sort of basically a small, narrow tunnel of suburban life, and suddenly there's all this stuff there in front of you, being being exposed to that at an early age has meant that as I've gone through life, I've tried to embrace those still. Being helpful, being kind, being inclusive. And, obviously, I am all the time. You can tell, but it's important, I think, to live that type of lifestyle. And they get that gave me a set of rules to live by.
Yeah.
I guess in the old days it would have been a religion. In our time, in our sort of sphere of influence, it was more around music and lifestyle. And some people chose the opposite, the divergent path.
Yeah.
We all know where that led, and we still see that. We still see the ramifications of that today. But I think that's what Two-Tone gave me.
So we've talked about obviously how Two-Tone has brought people together and how you've met people in your life because of the music you listened to when you were younger that have stayed with you throughout your journey. There'll be a lot of people watching this videos, families are sort of born out of, they might have met at a specials gig, or they go way back in terms of that was their musical preference, they were the gigs they were going to, they've got together. It means everything to them, Two-Tone.
Well, let me stop you there. I was going to say, my first dance at my wedding was "It Must Be Love Madness," which isn't Two-Tone. It isn't even an original Madness song, but it encompasses that sphere. And she loved, before I even met her, she loved Madness. She's still got posters from 1984 in the loft.
And she's got a mention in this video.
She's got a mention in this video. But I think the point is, yeah, you're right. But it was a musical genre that brought people together, who were like-minded, and that's very important, I think. And they hopefully have then brought their kids up with that same inclusivity.
And yourself, Max?
Well, if I don't mention my wife now, I'm in major trouble. But so yeah, she was a few years younger than me. She grew up as a fan of the music and the clothing and look of it all. But her particular favourite was Dave Waiting of The Beat. She loved Dave. Let's be fair, wasn't a bad looking fella, to be fair.
Lovely looking
fella. And I still think that if he rang up today, I'll be at the door. I will be very quickly out the door. Thanks very much. See you later.
Two-Tone is going to be so important to so many people. If you're out there and you're watching this video and Two-Tone has affected your life in some sort of drastic manner, or you've met your partner, and you wanted to share some of your experiences and share some of your memorabilia and your history, etc., how do you go about doing that and getting involved in the exhibition?
Well, there's a contributors link on the website, which is David.
From the Caribbean to Coventry.co.uk.
Now I know, because obviously I've been speaking to you guys, that you've had a lot of submissions from the general public already.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you, like the missing piece of the puzzle?
I'd love to find, obviously the main focus of this is Two-Tone.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of Two-Tone submissions and we are more than welcome for more.
Yeah.
What would be interesting is to see a little bit more possibly of just before Two-Tone.
Okay.
So maybe that late 60s, early 70s stuff. Where that led us to Two-Tone. So, and it doesn't matter kind of what it is. It doesn't need to be photographs, but it can just be written submissions. We're going to have a fan wall where everyone's kind of written work is going to go up, like on a bedroom wall almost. So it doesn't have to be poetic. We've had a couple of two-liners. We've had poems. We've had loads of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is.
So it's just a lived experience.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes, that would be nice.
Okay, and yourself, Max, is there something you thought? I'd love to see that in the exhibition.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I've read most of the submissions, all of them really, and I've just felt the love there. You can feel the love from the people. As I said earlier, like it was they were young people when it first hit, but it obviously means a hell of a lot to them. The whole time of it, it was very formative years.
Yeah.
So in a way, I mean, obviously we welcome anything that comes along with it. And we are looking for, as David said, more stuff to do, maybe a little bit before Two-Tone. We've got a hell of a lot of Two-Tone stuff. But to me, anyone who wants to send anything in, we'll have a look at it, we'll have a read of it. And it all goes in the pot, it all goes in the melting pot, and it tells a story, which is the most important thing.
And obviously outside of sort of the personal stories and lived experience, if you're coming along to the exhibition at the Barbican Music Library, what else can you expect to see?
Well, I'll say we got a wall of the singles, the Two-Tone singles, the first 20 singles, and each single is will be displayed, but also chosen by not necessarily celebrities, but people we've met along the way, who then say why this is their favourite Two-Tone song, and describe what it meant to them at the time. So we got a little bit of blurb underneath each single, which is really nice. It tells a story of where they were at that age and then why it's so important to them. And also Tony Minville, as mentioned earlier, has given us sort of a soundtrack of his family's life, which is a lovely thing, really. So some great singles in that, and that'll be on the other side of the wall or nearby, and they'll also be displayed really nicely. So we're giving a real nod to the influence of it all, really.
We also have obviously some clothing.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to try and make, this sounds a tad pretentious, but we wanted to make the exhibition a little kind of multi-layered.
Yeah.
So we wanted to touch on obviously the music, we wanted to touch on the fashions, we wanted to touch on a little bit of architecture. We're in the home of brutalism at the Barbican, and a lot of photos of those early two-tone bands were taken in Coventry, in amongst the sort of concrete jungle, literally, that was Coventry at the time. So we're going to potentially have a little bit of architecture in there as well, just to try and show people that there is more to this, and what people have gone on to do since they got into this genre.
We know from obviously having the shop here for like 15 years, whatever it is now, when we look back, the amount of guys that have come in with two-tone tattoos, Trojan Records tattoos, Crab Records, etc. The scooters that we've had pull up that are sort of an homage to. If you've got a classic scooter that is two-tone, explicitly two-tone again, and you want to donate it to the exhibition for a few months, boys be up for having that as well.
We wouldn't say no.
We wouldn't say no because the Barbican never had a scooter in it inside.
Well, there's a challenge. There's a challenge, isn't it?
In 60 odd years of it being existed, there's
can't
never been.
ride it.
We got to do it, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. And that's just total respect to those guys that do that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely, because they've kept that all alive.
Yeah. So when we got the green lights to do the exhibition, we needed a partner, a sponsor for the exhibition. So I immediately thought of Modfather Co-owner in Camden, because they've always been very, very helpful in previous projects, and immediately they got the whole idea of it and the ethos of it all, and delighted to have them on board, and they're our main sponsor, which is a delight for us, and looking forward to working together the next sort of 5 months that the exhibition's over.
To carry on with what Bax said, obviously we needed sponsors because these things cost money to actually put on. It's free to enter, so it's not generating any revenue. So we approached Detail magazine, which I think is quarterly. It's a magazine for modelists, and they've been amazing. They are going to do a special, kind of more fanzine type release, which I think will only be available at the show. We might see where we can spread it, get it out there a little bit in other ways, but basically it's only going to be available at the show. So they've been great, and obviously my company Biff Bang Pow, which is really named after the old Creation song, so that's got a modernist heritage to it as well. We've generated websites and basically pretty much all of the ephemera that goes with the show, and Andrew Higginbotham as well.
Yes.
I think who has done all of the design for the posters, the online artwork and stuff. So he's been amazing, and to have someone of that quality and calibre come on board has been a huge help to us. Huge help. And all of these people are going to be showcased at the event as well, so you can learn more about them there.
Guys, thanks for joining us in Camden Town today. I just want to say a massive thank you to Mr. Mark Baxter and David Burke for coming in and talking about From the Caribbean to Coventry. Come and check it out at the Barbican Music Library from January the 12th to May 25th. Have a nice day.